They laughed at you, didn't they? Good. Remember this moment, because every great visionary was first called insane. When the world sleeps, you rise. When they quit, you take one more step. And when they whisper that you're unrealistic, too intense, too obsessed, smile. Because Marcus Aurelius heard the same whispers, yet he became one of the greatest emperors in history. At 5 a.m., the world tries to pull you back into comfort. But visionaries don't answer to comfort, they answer to purpose, to discipline, to the quiet voice inside that says, you were made for more. While others chase motivation, you chase mastery. While others fear solitude, you use it to sharpen your mind. While others wait for the perfect moment, you create it. This is the hour where you separate who you've been from who you're about to become. So if they call you crazy now, good. Because the world has never been changed by the comfortable, only by the relentless, the disciplined, and the misunderstood. And today, it'll show you the 5 a.m. Stoic routine, inspired by Marcus Aurelius. The routine that forges unshakable minds and turns misfits into visionaries. Part 1. The Call to Greatness. Every morning you wake up, you face a question. Will today be a day of greatness or just another day that slips quietly through your fingers? That question follows all of us, even when we never say it out loud. But Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome and philosopher of the soul, answered it differently. He didn't wait for greatness to arrive. He built it silently, relentlessly, one morning at a time. Greatness doesn't appear like lightning. It grows like dawn, slowly, quietly, but undeniably. Marcus didn't wake up late, he didn't scroll aimlessly, and he didn't compare himself to others. He treated the morning like sacred ground. He believed, as he wrote in Meditations, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts, and the morning is the strongest dye. Take a breath. Say it softly with me, I choose the color of my mind. Good, let's continue. Marcus Aurelius ruled the largest empire on earth. Yet he rose before sunrise, not to command armies, but to command himself. Imagine carrying the weight of 60 million lives, wars at the borders, political conspiracies, plagues sweeping through the cities, and still choosing to sit alone in the morning with nothing but a wax tablet in his thoughts. Why? Because he understood that the untrained mind becomes the greatest enemy, and the morning is where the battle is won. Modern science echoes what Marcus already lived. Researchers at the University of Chicago found that morning focus increases productivity by 32%. Stanford neuroscientists confirm that early morning quiet strengthens clarity and emotional stability. Marcus didn't need the data, he lived the truth long before it was measured. Picture this: when Marcus was young, his mentor Rusticus told him, if you cannot rule your mornings, you cannot rule your life. Marcus carried that sentence into battlefields, into councils, into sleepless nights. Even during the war along the Danube, he kept his morning writing ritual. While soldiers sharpened weapons, he sharpened his mind. Take another breath. Exhale slowly. Whisper, my mornings are mine. People called Marcus obsessive, strange, too serious, too focused. But greatness always sounds strange to an ordinary mind. And here's the truth: if they call you unrealistic, good. If they call you intense, good. If they call you obsessed, even better. Because obsession is simply another word for clarity. Marcus lived what psychology now confirms purpose-driven individuals experience nearly 3 times the resilience of others. Those who structure their mornings report significantly higher emotional stability and long-term life satisfaction. You don't need an empire to think like Marcus. You just need intention. Your world isn't ancient Rome. Your battles aren't fought with swords, but your mind still needs a leader, a commander, and that leader is you. Every morning you declare, I will not be ruled by distraction. I will not be ruled by fear. I lead myself. Tomorrow morning, before you touch your phone, try this. Ask yourself, what would the strongest version of me do first? Then ask, what color do I want my soul to be today? Finally, write one sentence. Today I will lead myself. Simple, clear, stoic, and powerful enough to reshape your day. Now take a deep breath. Let go of everything pulling you away from yourself. Inhale discipline. Exhale distraction. Because now that you understand why Marcus protected his mornings, it's time to learn how he shaped them. The next part of this journey will reveal the exact steps, the precise routine, the mental architecture that forged one of the strongest minds in history. If this first part opened your eyes, the next part will shape your habits. Straighten your posture, calm your breath, and prepare to step into the routine that begins at 5 a.m., the routine that transforms ordinary minds into unshakable visionaries. Part 2, the 5 a.m. Stoic Routine. Before the sun rises, before the world asks anything from you, before responsibilities tighten around your neck, there is a sacred hour. The hour Marcus Aurelius guarded with the discipline of an emperor and the humility of a monk. And this hour begins at 5 a.m. When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive. Marcus wrote those words not for the world but for himself. A reminder, a reset, a calling. Because at 5 a.m. the world is silent, and in silence truth is louder. This is where the 5 a.m. Stoic routine begins. 1. Awakening with purpose. Most people wake up because they have to. Visionaries wake up because they choose to. Marcus Aurelius didn't jump out of bed as a symbol of motivation. He rose because he believed waking early was an act of respect. Respect for the day, respect for responsibility, respect for life itself. When you open your eyes at 5 a.m., you break away from the gravitational pull of comfort. And comfort is always what keeps people average. Take a breath. Say it with me, I don't wake up to escape the world. I wake up to lead it. Good, let's continue. 2. The Stoic stillness practice. Before he spoke to generals, before he addressed the Senate, before he listened to the cries of a suffering empire, Marcus sat alone with only his breath. No phone, no noise, no chaos, just himself. Stoics called this practice prosoc, the art of paying attention to the present moment. Modern neuroscience agrees, even 2 minutes of slow breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, lowering stress by 28%. A 5-minute observation of thoughts rewires emotional regulation pathways in the brain. Marcus discovered these truths centuries before science caught up. Here is the technique inspired by him. 2 minutes of slow breathing, 5 minutes observing your thoughts. Ask one question, what is in my control today? This is one of the simplest and strongest forms of psychological armor known to mankind, and it begins before sunrise. Inhale slowly, exhale gently. Whisper, I choose presence over panic. 3. Journaling like an emperor. Most people journal to remember their past. Marcus journaled to train his future. His book, Meditations, wasn't meant for readers. It wasn't polished, it wasn't poetic, it wasn't even meant for publication. It was his morning battlefield where he confronted his fears, examined his weaknesses, and sharpened his values. To journal like Marcus, write 3 lines every morning. What I fear today, what I can control, who I choose to be. That's it. Simple, bare, direct, just like the Stoics liked it. A 2020 study by the University of Texas found that expressive writing reduces overthinking and anxiety by up to 47%. Marcus didn't know the statistic, but he lived the truth. Breathe in clarity, breathe out confusion, say gently, my mind becomes clear when I hold the pen. 4. Stoic physical training. Stoics believe physical discipline shapes mental discipline. Not bodybuilding, not ego, just movement. Marcus wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. But he also understood that the body influences the mind. In Roman camps, Marcus trained with soldiers light drills, stretching, walking, controlled breathing. He believed strength was not in the muscles, but in the consistency. Your practice is simple, 10-20 minutes of movement, stretching, walking, light bodyweight exercises, or breath-led mobility. Studies from Harvard show that short morning exercise improves mental performance by 21% throughout the day. You don't need intensity, you need consistency. Take a deep breath, roll your shoulders back. Say it with me. Strength begins with discipline. 5. The visionary task before sunrise. Marcus chose one essential task, not 10, not 20, just one. Stoics didn't believe in doing everything. They believed in doing the right thing. Ask yourself, what one task, if done today, moves my life forward? Not emails, not messages, not chores. Something that contributes to your mission. Marcus wrote, do every act as if it were your last. That's not drama. That's precision. Visionaries don't rise in leaps, they rise in daily steps. Studies show that focusing on one high-value task increases long-term progress by 63% compared to multitasking. Slow breath in, slow breath out. Repeat, one step is enough. Now you know the routine. Now you've stepped into the morning of an emperor. But the world will still talk. They will call you strange, too disciplined, too intense, too different. Good. Because part 3 will teach you something most people never learn: how to turn criticism into fuel, how to turn misunderstanding into strength, and how to reframe every attack like a stoic. Straighten your posture, take a steady breath, and prepare to step into the mindset that transforms pressure into power, the Stoic Reframing. Part 3, the Stoic Reframing. The world will judge you the moment you rise above it. No matter how early you wake, no matter how disciplined you become, there will always be voices trying to pull you back into the ordinary. Marcus Aurelius knew this better than anyone. Even as emperor of Rome, he was criticized, doubted, and misunderstood. Senators whispered that he was too philosophical. Generals complained that he thought too much. Citizens said he cared more about virtue than victory. And yet he guided Rome through plague, betrayal, and war with unshakable clarity. How did he withstand the pressure? How did he remain calm when people tried to tear him down? By using a weapon stronger than any army, the Stoic art of reframing. Marcus once wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed." That sentence is not a mere quote. It is a revolution in perception. Because Stoicism isn't about ignoring your emotions. It's about mastering them. It's choosing meaning when weakness is easier. And this truth is reflected even in modern psychology. Dr. Albert Ellis, the father of cognitive behavioral therapy, famously said, "You don't feel what happens to you. You feel what you tell yourself about what happens to you." Marcus knew this centuries ago. Stoicism is not ancient, it is eternal. Take a breath. Inhale strength, exhale doubt. Say it softly. Their opinions are not my compass. Good. Now go deeper. Most people fear discipline because it exposes their laziness. They fear ambition because it highlights their stagnation. They fear your 5 a.m. routine because it reminds them of the promises they broke to themselves. Marcus understood this deeply. He wrote, "The opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them know anything about the subject." In other words, a crowd may have volume, but not wisdom. Think about this: when Thomas Edison pursued the light bulb, people called him insane. When Beethoven composed music while deaf, they called him broken. When Serena Williams trained at 4 a.m., coaches said she was obsessive. When Elon Musk attempted reusable rockets, experts said it was impossible. And yet every one of them changed their world. Why? Because they didn't treat criticism as a stop sign. They treated it as proof that they were no longer living at average altitude. Here's the Stoic truth: criticism is not a sign that you're failing. Criticism is proof that you're no longer living at their level. Marcus used 3 mental filters whenever someone attacked him. Is this within my control? If yes, act. If no, release. Modern psychology calls this the locus of control, and research shows people who cultivate it have lower anxiety and greater resilience across nearly every metric. What story am I telling myself? Am I shaping a story of fear or a story of growth? What opportunity is hidden inside this obstacle? Marcus believed that obstacles weren't interruptions, they were instructions. That's why he wrote the timeless words, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Close your eyes, inhale, exhale, whisper, "What stands in my way becomes my way." Let that thought sink into your bones. There is a famous moment during the Marco-Manic Wars when soldiers accused Marcus of being too gentle. They demanded aggression. They demanded blood. Marcus did not argue. He simply said, "If I am wrong, teach me. If I am right, follow me." Clarity dissolved conflict. Leadership spoke for itself. He didn't fight with anger, he fought with reason. Modern psychology confirms what Marcus lived: over 70% of all criticism is projection. Insecurity, fear, envy. They speak through the language of attack. You are not being judged, you are being projected upon. So each morning build your stoic shield by asking 3 questions. What might challenge me today? How will I choose to interpret it? How can this benefit me? These questions turn your mind from victim into strategist. Because a disciplined mind doesn't wait for peace. It creates peace. Example. Imagine opening your phone and seeing a cruel comment. Instead of reacting emotionally, a Stoic rewires the response. This is a chance to train composure. Neuroscience calls this cognitive restructuring, the ability to reinterpret stress triggers. And MRI scans show that people who use this technique develop stronger neural pathways for emotional control. Marcus didn't know brain science, yet he mastered it before science existed. Say it clearly, I control the meaning. Because meaning is the foundation of strength. People will call you unrealistic because your vision is bigger than theirs. They will call you obsessed because your focus threatens their comfort. They will call you crazy because your discipline reminds them of what they could be, but choose not to become. Marcus wrote, to be noble, you must be ready to be laughed at. And he was right. Every visionary is misunderstood before they are respected. Think of Galileo, Rosa Parks, Muhammad Ali, Steve Jobs, all labeled rebels before they were labeled icons. So if no one thinks you're crazy, you're playing too small. This is not about ego. This is about direction. Reframing is not denial. It is leadership of the inner world. It is the courage to say, I will define the meaning of this moment. I will choose who I become in the face of pressure. The weak wait for peace. The Stoic builds it. Sit up straight, breathe slowly, and say it like a promise to yourself. They can call me crazy, but they will never call me average. Now that you've learned how to convert judgment into strength and pressure into clarity, you are ready for the final transformation. Part 1 gave you the calling. Part 2 gave you the routine. Part 3 gave you the mindset. And Part 4 will give you the becoming. Where a disciplined morning turns into a disciplined identity, and you evolve into someone your past self would barely recognize. Straighten your posture, lift your chin, take a steady breath. The final stage awaits, and it will change your life. Part 4, the transformation message identity. That is what this routine has been building. Not just discipline, not just productivity, but identity, your new identity. You began this journey waking up at 5 a.m. You built stillness. You journaled. You trained. You chose one task to move forward. You learned to reframe judgment like Marcus Aurelius himself. But now we enter the final stage. Because 5 a.m. doesn't create morning people. It creates visionaries. Marcus Aurelius didn't become an emperor through bloodline alone. Many men were born into power, but only a few built the strength to carry it. What made Marcus different wasn't royal birth. It was daily practice. Morning by morning, thought by thought, choice by choice. As he wrote, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. That is the essence of the Stoic morning. It builds identity through action. Here is a truth most people miss. Self-belief is not motivation. Self-belief is evidence. You don't wake up confident, you gather proof day after day until confidence becomes unavoidable. In psychology, this is known as self-efficacy belief built through action. Research from Stanford shows that when we complete small disciplined tasks in the morning, our brain releases dopamine in patterns that reinforce identity, meaning every morning decision shapes who we believe we are. You're not just doing a routine, you're building a believer inside your own mind. Breathe in, breathe out. Say it softly, I am becoming the person I once searched for. Good. Continue. Stoics followed a simple path to evolve the self, and you can apply it starting tomorrow morning. Step 1, awareness, know your weakness. Marcus wrote brutally honest notes to himself. He called out his own ego, impatience, anger, and doubts. He wasn't ashamed, he was curious. He saw weakness not as shame, but as material. Step 2, action train the opposite. If he felt anger, he practiced patience. If he felt fear, he sought challenges. If he felt laziness, he trained discipline. Whatever emotion tried to control him, he counter-trained it. Step 3, identity become the opposite. With time, training becomes character. Character becomes identity, and identity changes destiny. A recent study from University College London showed that repeating a daily habit for 66 days begins to alter the brain's default mode network, the system that shapes personality and behavior. In other words, discipline physically rewires you. Marcus didn't wait for destiny. He designed it one morning at a time. Close your eyes. Straighten your posture. Say it with me. One routine can change who I am. Let the idea sink in. Let the belief begin. Tomorrow morning when you wake at 5 a.m., don't ask, can I do it? Instead ask, who am I becoming? Choice is identity, and identity shapes destiny. Marcus once wrote, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. So what color will your mind paint tomorrow? Anxiety or awareness? Fear or courage? Comfort or discipline? The brush is already in your hand. Every morning write one sentence beginning with the person I am becoming is. At first it will feel forced, uncomfortable, unfamiliar, but over weeks, months, it becomes a compass, not motivation, direction. Breathe in purpose, breathe out hesitation. Say quietly, I do not chase identity, I forge it. There will come a day when this routine no longer feels like work. It will simply be who you are, and that is the day your life will change permanently. Because the world is built by people with self-directed identity, people who chose who they would become and then lived as if it were already true. Entrepreneurs, athletes, artists, leaders, even Marcus. None of them waited to feel ready. They acted until readiness appeared. That is stoicism in motion. You don't need to be an emperor to think like one. You only need a morning, one disciplined, intentional morning. If you follow this routine for 7 days, you won't just feel different. You'll see different. And if you follow it for 30 days, you'll become someone your past self would barely recognize. Stoicism doesn't demand perfection. Stoicism demands direction. You are not supposed to be flawless. You are supposed to be becoming. The journey has already begun. The only question is whether you will keep walking it. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Say it one last time, 5 a.m. doesn't create morning people. It creates visionaries. Now rise and become one. If this message awakens something real inside you, don't let it fade. Like this video. Share it with someone who's been called crazy too. And subscribe to Making Life Better, because this is not just content, this is a movement. A movement for those who rise earlier, think deeper, and refuse to live on autopilot. Every subscriber strengthens this stoic army, and every share might save someone from giving up too soon. So let's grow not louder, but stronger. Let's build mornings so powerful that even Marcus Aurelius would nod in approval. Now your turn. Comment one word that describes the warrior you're becoming. Just one. Disciplined, or maybe just becoming ill. Be reading every word. And maybe that word becomes who you are tomorrow morning.